Welcome to The Big Rich Show. This podcast will focus on conversations with friends and acquaintances within the four-wheel drive industry. Many of the people that I will be interviewing, you may know the name, you may know some of the history, but let's get in depth with these people and find out what truly makes them a four-wheel drive enthusiast. So now's the time to sit back, grab a cold one, and enjoy our conversation.
Whether you're crawling the red rocks of Moab or hauling your toys to the trail, Maxxis has the tires you can trust for performance and durability. 4 wheels or 2. Maxxis tires are the choice of champions because they know that whether for work or play, for fun or competition, Maxxis tires deliver. Choose Maxxis. Tread victoriously.
Why should you read 4Low magazine? Because 4Low magazine is about your lifestyle, the four-wheel drive adventure lifestyle that we all enjoy. Rock crawling, trail riding, event coverage, vehicle builds, and do-it-yourself tech, all in a beautifully presented package. You won't find 4Low on the newsstand rack, so subscribe today and have it delivered to you. On today's Conversations with Big Rich, we have Nena Barlow. Nena is the owner of Barlow Adventures and Jeep Rentals with offices in Moab, Sedona, Vegas, and on the Rubicon. She's a professional, certified 4x4 trainer, owner of the Sedona Jeep School, and just now, in fact, crowned on Friday, trophied on Saturday, the 2021 winner of the 6th annual Rebelle Rally. Nena, it's great to have you on board, and congratulations.
Thank you, Rich. It's great to be here. Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's we get to see each other typically during Easter Jeep Safari at one of the parties or something, and then, of course, for the Rebelle Rally, as much as we can see each other when both of us are pretty dang busy.
Right.
Yeah, it's let's jump right in and talk about your life and where were you born and where did you grow up?
Well, born in California. I grew up in the desert outside of Palm Springs on a big ranch that was out there about an hour outside of Palm Springs. So off-roading was a part of just our daily life, getting around. We had, horses and goats and beef cattle at times, and citrus and dates and corn and broccoli, so it was ranching, farming was my upbringing.
Okay.
And of course we'd get out there. What most people don't know is actually I cut my teeth on, four-wheeling teeth on a 76 Bronco.
Nice.
Yeah, which is, my dad had it since it was new in 1976, and we were the crazy people that put steel bumpers and a winch and huge 31-inch tires on it.
Huge 31-inch tires.
Exactly. Just to get around in the sand and everything out there. So Jeeps and trucks and tractors, and I drove everything, whatever I could reach the pedals on.
Yeah, and that was just the upbringing, being on a ranch/farm. I can imagine.
Right.
So Palm Springs, huh? That's
yeah.
That is deserty, that's for sure. With the mountains all around, and then of course the heat.
Yes. Now it's like when I'm back there. Well, number one, of course, that area has grown so much. When I was there growing up as a kid, of course, there was big open stretches of desert in between all the little cities, between Coachella and Indio and Palm Desert and Palm Springs. And now it's just, the whole valley floor is just one big metropolis.
Yes.
I went to graduated Palm Springs High School, and Bob Hope spoke at our high school graduation, so it was
that's cool.
A lot of contrast, between kind of the Hollywood crowd and then the farming area and the desert four-wheeling crowd and dirt bikes getting out. We of course have friends that were in the race in the Barstow of Vegas, and we go out and support that, and so just a kind of a mishmash of all things outdoors and Southwest growing up.
Right. So you said motorcycles.
Yep.
How old were you when you first rode a motorcycle?
Oh my gosh, probably 6 or 7.
Okay.
And that didn't last long. That was kind of I think the family was kind of into that for a few years. I was more into horses
Okay.
after that, which gives you still plenty of opportunities to fall off and break bones, but
True. True. I didn't
yeah,
know
it
if
was,
maybe you were on the line there, like with Jimmy.
no, no, yeah, no, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. We had my dad had a 250, and I think I rode a 125, and then and I got more into horses. And then I actually got into muscle cars,
Really?
in high school and stuff. Yeah,
Okay. What was
Mustangs and
Mustangs?
huh?
I was gonna say
Yeah,
Mustangs. Okay.
yeah. Got in a lot of trouble.
Oh,
Um,
come on, Nena Barlow in
yeah, I
trouble.
know. It's like thankfully there wasn't social media and cell phones back then.
Oh, tell me about it. I could never run for political office. There's too many people still alive.
Right, right, exactly.
And I graduated a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah,
About the time your dad bought that 76 Bronco, in fact.
yeah.
So what was your interest in school?
So school was cars and basketball and boys, of course. It was. I played a lot of different sports when I was in school, and then I was lucky enough to get a scholarship actually to play basketball.
Oh, nice.
I went to Adams State in Colorado. After high school and some junior college, I wanted to see some different country, and so I accepted an offer from Colorado and went and played for them. Graduated there, and then came back. I had my family. I had a lot of family in southern Utah and Arizona, and my parents had migrated over to Hurricane for a while, and then back to Sedona, where we had my grandparents and aunts and uncles since the 70s. And so I knew I'd kind of probably wouldn't go back to California at that point. So but the family is what brought me back to Sedona after college.
Excellent. And that's probably a good choice.
Right. Arizona, of course, is wonderful. It's beautiful and diverse, and we still have so much open country here.
Yes.
And that's what I love is the open space. I get claustrophobic in cities. Yeah, it's fun to visit and party, but need to get out in that open terrain.
So from high school, muscle cars,
Yep.
basketball, and so it was a sports scholarship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How were you as a student?
I was a great student.
Okay.
I think I ended up graduating with a 3.4 GPA, but I had been a straight A student most of my life until I had a legal driver's license, boys and legal driver's license, and then I was off.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was at the time, I think my senior year, I had like 52 absences. I'd really just coasted through my senior year after basketball season was over. It was like, skipping school and going to the beach and going out to the desert. We had Joshua Tree right there,
I didn't work, I should say. I was on the yearbook staff.
Yeah.
And I was the photographer.
Yeah.
So it was really easy to write passes for my friends and I. Oh, we got to go out and do a photo shoot, and I need this person and this person, and then we were off, getting into trouble, doing whatever
Yes.
teenage boys do,
Right.
So with graduating,
Mm-hmm.
Adams State, you said? Adams
Yes.
State.
Yep.
With played basketball,
Yep.
went back to Sedona. What did you do then? I mean, work-wise.
So my degree was in sports and recreation management with a coaching certification and a minor in marketing. And the idea was, come back to Arizona, just kind of screw around for a while. I took a job as a tour guide in the, Jeep tour business, of course, a big deal in Sedona. And because I could, I had the skill set, and it was something fun to do until I, grew up and settled down and, got a real job. And that was, that's still, I guess, I tell people that just hasn't happened yet. I like growing up and
The real
settling
job.
down and getting a real job part. Yeah, I just stayed in the Jeep business.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. So when was the first time you actually ran like an organized trail? I mean, instead of just wheeling out in the desert, like where you went, maybe did the Rubicon or did one of the trails in Sedona or something like that. Do you remember?
So I remember, this is going back to when I was a kid,
Okay.
and my, the classic Bronco thing, for a while, some of my dad's buddies decided well, of course, back then they weren't classic Broncos, they were just Broncos.
Right.
And so we kind of had an unofficial Bronco club, and they'd get together and there'd be, big, irritate the neighbors, Bronco party, at one of the houses, and go out camping for the weekend and break stuff. And so, I grew up with that as a kid,
Right.
the semi-organized. And then, oh my gosh, and then coming back to Arizona, I would say it was probably the late 90s when I started getting involved with, we had the kind of the big active club in Arizona, and probably still is the Arizona Virtual Jeep Club, which is actually started by a bunch of computer geeks.
Right.
So some of the first like online forums, like Yahoo groups,
Oh yeah.
and so getting involved in some of that, and then Easter Jeep Safari, I've been attending since the early 2000s.
Okay.
I was still working. I worked for other Jeep tour companies. I started my own company in 2004. And it was primarily to provide education, four-wheel drive education, outdoor education. And I acquired permits in Moab just because that was a natural place to start. And of course, in Sedona.
So the first office of Barlow Adventures was in Moab then?
So I didn't actually have any physical office. I
Okay.
just kind of, ran the business, just from my house, just me, until in 2009, I bought out Fairby's, decided to pull out of Sedona, and he asked me if I wanted to buy him out of the Sedona Jeep rental location. So I was doing training from 2004, and then 2009 was when I got into the Jeep rental side of the business. It was a
Okay.
natural fit.
Right.
I'd been working with some of the Jeep rental companies, since I started my own companies. We get people coming from all over, not necessarily able to bring their own vehicle with them.
Right. So I know that Sedona's really big with the pink Jeeps.
Yes.
Because, and I don't know if it's the biggest thing there or whatever, but I just noticed when I took our Raptor on, I forget the name of the trail there now.
Broken Arrow, probably.
Yeah, Broken
Yep.
Arrow. That,
Mm-hmm.
man, every time I made it, I looked around a corner. Here came a Jeep full of people,
Right.
and they were all pink. And
Yeah.
they've been around a long time, or?
They've been around since the late 50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they really kind of pioneered the Jeep tour business. We consider them friends and partners in the industry. They are, people who want to ride in the back of a Jeep and be tootled around are a different clientele than people that want to learn how to drive their own,
Correct.
And so that's not really competition there at all. It's we have a good partnership with them, but Sedona is very different than Moab in that regard. Sedona is much more of a soft adventure kind of place.
Right.
It's not necessarily outdoor people that come to Sedona. Moab is more of a commitment. People that make the trek to Moab, they're there for outdoors. They're there to hike. They're there to bike, raft, Jeep, whatever. But Sedona, it's like, well, let's go try this outdoor thing. Let's go for a little hike. Let's go for a little Jeep ride, and then let's go to the spa and go shopping.
Or golfing, right?
or golfing, right? Exactly.
So then with Farabee's, were you working with them and doing tours with them or just training and then picked up their business?
So I was doing training for my own company,
Right.
and I contracted with them to provide Jeep rentals, for my clients who needed, to rent something.
Okay.
And then after a year or so of that, he asked me to just run his Sedona operation for him. So I was doing that, and then after a few years of that, then he decided to sell out of
Okay.
of Sedona. So,
Yeah, I was wondering how that transition worked. Okay. Cool.
yeah.
So what is your favorite besides Moab, Sedona, and maybe the Rubicon?
Yep.
Where's your favorite place to wheel?
Oh my gosh. It's wherever the nice weather is, or wherever the last place I was, because as you know, my favorite place right now is Glamis, because that was where
Right.
where we just left. And we spend a lot of time down there in the winter doing training and stuff like that. So I'm lucky to have picked a career that allows me to just follow the nice weather. I get the summers on the Rubicon Trail or up in the mountains, spring and fall in the desert in Moab, and there's so much out there. It doesn't have to be. It's really fun to go out and do some of the hardcore stuff, and then turn around and just go out and do miles and miles of open backcountry in Nevada, where all you see are wild horses.
And the burros and the
Yes.
coyotes and everything else that we see while we're
Right.
Did you see the picture that Jimmy got? Mitch, who used to work on the course crew on the Rebelle, went to the big tent, was watching the big tent at Big Dune until the tent people showed up so that it wouldn't disappear. And he got a picture of an ostrich.
Oh, the Benzies saw the ostrich. So I saw the picture of the ostrich. They saw it when they left morning 4, when we left Big Dune, and some of the teams went through the dunes to get over towards the gas station, and some of the teams just went north to the highway. They saw the ostrich.
That's
and they
awesome.
got a video of it. Yeah. And of course, when they told us this, we're like, right.
I
you
said
guys
the
didn't
same
get much
thing.
sleep last night, did you?
I'm just glad the ostrich wasn't wearing any of our clothes that disappeared
Right.
in that windstorm.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That was a pretty gnarly day.
Yep.
So let's talk about your adventures and how does that run. You said that you guide people on trails or in areas, and I know that you also have the Jeep rental business in Sedona and Moab.
Right.
But the Rubicon, it's more guiding on the Rubicon. Is that correct?
Yes. So Barlow Adventures is kind of 3-pronged. We have the Jeep rentals, we do the guided trips, and then we do the technical 4-wheel drive training. The training is my number one thing. That's kind of my number one passion. The guided trips are definitely just fluffy and fun. That's just the fun stuff,
Right.
And the trips are like the on the Rubicon Trail. Yeah, all we do are guided trips. So we do have Jeep rentals available, but they're only for the guided trips. We don't just turn people loose on the Rubicon with our rentals.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
You can imagine the carnage. And the idea is, of course, we don't want to have that conversation with people. Well, the bill that you owe us is.
Yeah,
So.
I know. When you helped us out, when we did our first 4Low Magazine adventure ambassadors tour,
Right.
and the Jeep that we were driving, it was a SEMA build, and the engine blew. And so I called you and said, hey, do you have a Jeep that we can rent that's,
Right.
not like I'm buying it? And you set us
Right.
up, and that was great. And in fact, I didn't want to turn it back in because I didn't want to get back in the TJ. I wanted to stay in that JK.
I know, right? Right.
Yeah. There was no AC in the TJ. The heater was not sufficient when we were going from the Black Hills to Minneapolis. And there was no defrosters and no windshield washer.
Oh my gosh.
So it was there was a point there where I was driving down the road in like negative 20 degrees and trying to wipe the windows off with a towel while I'm driving down the highway.
The good old days.
Yeah, that was only like 4 years ago. Oh well.
You know, when I got in Kaylee's TJ, you know, their rally Jeep, and it had no, you know, there was no heat and no air conditioning, and she had this button. I'm trying to remember something with her transmission, and they had to push a button to make it downshift, and it was I just remember thinking, well, you guys should have won extra awards for driving this thing down the rally.
Yeah, anybody that drives the older rigs like that has either no AC or, you know, the old R12 systems that were so inefficient anyway. I got to give them kudos for that. This year in Moab or in Glamis, it wasn't too bad, but boy, last year, over 100 degrees,
116 or whatever it was out there. Yeah. Yeah, we have a 42 GPW sitting out in front of our Sedona store. Her name is Rosie, and that's what most people think Jeeps still are.
Right.
Manual transmission, no top, no doors, you know. So we put them in these JLs now, of course, you know, satellite radio and the touch screens and climate control and heated seats and steering wheel, and they're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're helping to sell Jeeps. I know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I keep saying it's like I'd really love to have like a buy 10 get one free punch card, or a sell 10 get one free punch card, something like that. You know?
At least some kind of affiliate program.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're somewhere on, I think we just bought Jeep number 152.
Wow.
Since I started the rental business. Yep.
152 Jeeps.
Yep. Yep. But
I don't know anybody else that's done that many.
That's not counting the personal ones, that the ones that follow you home from the field, you know, right now for me, that's an 81 Wagoneer, you know.
Nice. So what is your favorite Jeep to drive? Are you going to tell me it's the 4xe?
Oh, it is now. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. It'll be really hard. I have my launch edition Gladiator, which I love. I didn't think I would love the Gladiators that much. It's like, it's awesome. Jeep made a truck. Yay. But it's like, you know, if I'm going to be on, you know, Moab Rim or Pritchett Canyon, I'm going to want to be in my Wrangler on 38s, you know, or, you know, if I got a tow, I want to be in the Power Wagon. What are you going to do with something that's in the middle that doesn't do either one of those things really well? But you know what? It's my daily driver now, is the Gladiator.
Nice.
But it's got that 3.6 motor, which is, you know, it's solid and reliable, but it's not exciting.
Right.
And of course, I tell people, until my generation dies off, where our heart races when we hear the roar of a big V8, you know, that, you know, I don't know if we can make the switch to electrification, but after driving that 4xe in the dunes,
it's going to have to come with a Vroom type motor, like the bicycles you could buy for the bicycles. I've got to have the rumble.
I got to have the rumble. And that's, we have so many people. We have a couple of the 4xes in the rental fleet, you know, now too. And we have so many people that are, you know, longtime Jeepers, and they're like, oh my gosh, the torque on this thing, the performance it's amazing. But the sound, I can't, you know, that 2-liter turbo is it's a great solid little motor, but it just sounds like a sewing machine. There's no, you know.
So where did the 4xe really shine on this Rebelle for you?
So I would say it was especially in the dunes. There were, you know, I'm used to driving a gasser out there, you know, the 3.6 with the 8-speed or the 2-liter turbo, or even the 2-liter turbo e-torque Wrangler. And it was awesome to have that, that diesel feel when you're pulling up a hill and a gasser just starts to kind of fade out, and a diesel just kicks it down and just keeps power, just that steady power all the way up to the top of the hill. That was the feel with the 4xe. I mean, I got about 2/3 of the way up Oldsmobile Hill, where I'm really I have to be in the right gear and had just the right line to stay off the whoops to keep my power, with my other Jeeps. And she's like, "You want more? Do you want to go faster? Do you want to launch up over the top of the crest of Oldsmobile Hill? What do you
Nice.
want?" It was just there. It was amazing. And in Dumont and Big Dune, anywhere we needed to get to the top of something,
Right.
and just went. And that, and then the fact that, I'm telling people, it's like, you have as much torque and only a little bit less horsepower than the 392. And, the price tag on the 4xe is like 20 grand less than the 392, if you can even find a 392,
Right.
So, and the fuel economy we were worried about at the beginning. We were worried with only 17-gallon gas tank instead of 21.4 that the Wranglers usually come with, that we might have to watch that, and it was never even close to an issue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
And
that 4xe is a combo.
Yeah.
It's not a full electric vehicle.
Right. It's a hybrid.
Hybrid. Okay.
And it's a plug-in hybrid. So it's a hybrid that we can drive it all year and just put gas in it. We don't have to plug it in if we don't want to. Plugging it in gives us some extra range. And like one of the tips that we learned, like for the dunes, is you want to have a little bit of battery charge in there, and she'll charge herself driving too. There's different settings you can use. So
Okay.
she'll charge herself up. The battery is always there. So I hate to use this analogy, but kind of like a Prius, it's like you always have gas and battery available. It recharges itself enough to use the battery. But for the big draws, like running up those huge dunes, you want to have, a little extra battery juice in storage. The cool thing was, like, one thing I didn't realize, we had the Kias out there. They have to plug in and charge every night. Their brain, the computer, I guess, needs it. And the Jeep doesn't. We skipped charging a couple nights because whatever, didn't work or wasn't convenient, or like when we were at Marathon Base Camp out
Right.
at Razor.
You were on your own.
They came around and asked us if we needed to charge because the other teams did, and we were like, no, we don't. Thanks, we're good.
Nice.
So yeah, that drivetrain, like I said, I mean, you can just put gas in it all year. You don't ever have to plug it in if you don't want to.
So what is the attraction for you with the Rebelle?
The attraction is the bringing together. It's not just amazing women from all over the world. The staff is also really amazing. Like yourself and Shelly. It's like I've got to know you two better through the rally. And so some of my favorite people on the planet are in this one place, for this week in October, and it's awesome. And I've also watched how the competitors, as well as the staff, they're pushing beyond their comfort zone. They're developing confidence in themselves, doing things that they didn't think that they could do or endure, and really shining. And then they carry that onto their daily lives after that.
True.
And I just love that.
Yes.
On day seven this year, historically, Tara Lynn and I, of course, we've been on separate teams. We were a team together this year, but our respective teams, we always went solo in the dunes. We felt like teaming up with other people would just kind of slow us down. And, we felt like we had a comfortable enough lead going into day 7. We can't not push it hard. You know that, but
Right.
But we were like, let's bring some other people. Let's team up and let's bring some other people with us. Let's help them push themselves to do their best today. And it was really awesome to see them hesitate a little bit, and with just a little nudge, they just were like, "Yeah, let's go get it," and they got it, and they were so happy with themselves. It's very rewarding and gratifying, and of course, it just builds those friendships that that you'll have the rest of your life. You'll have that connection. People that competed the first year and haven't been back since. I'm still in touch with a lot of those people.
Right.
So
you guys really surprised me on day 7. Shelly and I are sitting there at the first checkpoint in the little dunes, or right at the edge of the little dunes.
Or the shitty dunes.
The shitty dunes. Yeah, I wasn't going to call them that because Glamis is just great, but compared to the big dunes, yes, it's shitty dunes.
Yes.
But
they're harder.
Yeah, they are harder because they're so choppy and there's a lot of holes when you drop into them. It's like, oh no, now I got to burn my way out of this. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But we're sitting there, and all the teams are coming in, and there was what was great to see is that most everybody was running in groups of 2 or 3.
Right.
And then, there was I think probably 5 competitors that were on their own, and they were all new teams. And I was like, man, these, it would really be nice to see those, at least a group of 2 and a group of 3, but they probably didn't have whatever it took to make that connection with somebody else. But, hopefully the next time they come out, they can do that, because making the connections there is awesome. I mean, we met so many great people. But when you guys drove in, and I'm like, oh, there you go, teaming up, here's 1, 2, and 3 in the standings coming in together. I'm like, you guys are now making sure that Jeep is going to get 1, 2, and 3. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind.
All part of our evil plan.
Yes, exactly. And I looked at Shelly and I said, that surprises me, but it really makes a lot of sense. So I'm sure Scott was really happy with that.
Yes.
So,
and we had so much fun. There was a lot of happy crying in that group. Yeah.
I would imagine. And where I think there was some other crying going on that might not have been so happy during the day. There was a lot of stuck vehicles out there. Did you guys have an area or a time where the 3 of you were stuck, or 1 or 2 of you were stuck and had to help dig out, or anything like that, or did you guys just kind of cruise through the day?
Yeah, no, we did. There was a couple of stucks in the group. We actually, one of the tougher locations was well, of course, you would expect, after the swing set, coming up that valley past the flagpole and stuff, you get into, there's some big stuff you got to cross.
Right.
And there was a couple of stucks that we got out pretty quickly. A little Maxtrax, a little shovel, a little Bubba Rope, to get people unstuck. The surprise is, the earlier in the day between checkpoint 3 and 4 was really nasty. That was when the sand was really blowing, so it was really moving a lot. It was really soft, and we saw the Rivian go up, try to cross over in front of us and get stuck. And then so we went around. I like to stay up high, and so that gives us the option to kind of drop down through some stuff. So we went up high, went around, grabbed checkpoint 4. We got there. Laura Wanless and her guitar came in right behind us. They got it, and we turned around and watched, and we saw the Benzies had gotten stuck not too far from where the Rivian was stuck. So we waited a few minutes. I said, okay, if it looks like they got themselves out really quickly, great. Otherwise, I'm going to give it like 2 minutes, and I'm going to head back up there. And so we gave it a couple minutes, and I said, okay, I'm going back up. And I told Laura, we're going to go up. If you see me give the big hand wave, we're having trouble, you come get us. Otherwise, keep going, And so we get up there, and the Wanlesses had just gotten themselves kind of unstuck, and then helped another team get themselves unstuck. So they're free and clear. The Rivian was still stuck, so we tried to go over, and that thing's like 7,000 pounds.
All them batteries.
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to get to them where we could help pull them, bubble rope them out, and I got stuck on the way trying to get to them. So I stopped while I was ahead. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop spinning while I can still see daylight under my tire or under my belly, and we can easily Maxtrax out of this, in a minute. Let's go get them. And they had just buried, Emmy and Rebecca. You could tell were just shot. Rebecca was just exhausted right then. They'd been digging and digging. They'd buried their Maxtrax. The Maxtrax were just gone under a ton of sand. So we helped unbury their Maxtrax and then made sure that they got moving again. And then we went back, got ourselves unstuck, and then continued on. So that was a lot of that was probably the most stressful dig, because everybody at that point that was behind and watching us up on this on this series of dunes deciding we're not going to go that way, we're going to turn around and go back. So it was gratifying to make sure we got everybody off that hill before we continued on. That was right at the checkpoint 4.
Okay.
And then we got around the other side, and we knew, after swing set, it was going to get tough. And I kept telling Tara Lynn, I'm like, I'm not getting stuck. I'm not getting stuck. I'm not going to drive like Nena. I'm going to drive conservative, smart. We're not playing. It's just business.
So I know that there was 3 flags out there, blue flags, or I'm pretty sure there were flags that were marked 18, 19, 20 on the blue.
Yes.
Were those, that's that area you're talking about after the swing set?
Yeah, swing set was 17.
Okay.
And the 18 was the flagpole, what we call the flagpole. And it was and those did not technically have flags. Our CP guide said there's no flag, click at the flagpole, click at the swing set.
Okay.
And then 19. So, and then of course it was 18X, 19X, and 20X that were in that valley, that's between the swing set and Osborne Tower. And so 17 was the swing set, 18X was the flagpole, 19X we got to pretty easily. And then between 19X and 20X was where we began to question our existence and our choices in life,
I was on that day, we got done with our checkpoint, went over to Woo's checkpoint, and we waited for maybe an hour and a half, and then that one cleared. Everybody was done, had gone through there. So Jimmy looked at me and said, "Hey, do you want to go for a ride?" And I knew what he meant was me following him in, me in the Raptor and him on his bike. And before I could say anything, Shelly goes, "I'll ride with Woo back to camp," right? And I'm like, okay. And
okay, bailed.
Oh yeah. And so we went and picked up blues and followed teams and just, observing that kind of thing. And it was fun. I learned a lot about I've driven in the dunes pretty extensively, but not with the Raptor like I did the Cherokee. The Cherokee, I could just, I was never going to overpower and bury it.
Yeah.
That it just didn't have that kind of motor, and the big tires. I'm running bigger tires on the Cherokee than I do on the Raptor.
Right.
And so I was kind of worried, with the Raptor, what it would do. But, Jimmy just said, just follow me. And I just tried to keep his tire track between my front tires. And that was awesome. And then he goes, okay, go around to 21 and wait for me. I'm going to go up the valley and check out the area of, 17, 18, 19, and then get the flag at 20. And I'm like, and he goes, I don't think you want to drive down there. And I'm like, okay, fine. If you're going to say that, I'm not going. So I went around, and then we waited and waited and waited. And then it was funny because both of our push-to-talks died at the same time. Within like 2 or 3 minutes of each other. And so, but we were able to talk on phones, and then we, there was a couple of teams still out there, and so we watched them go in, and then we pulled the flags. But for me, it was really cool. And then that's how I knew that 20 was probably pretty gnarly out there.
It was we were following a heading of 304 degrees from 19, and Wanless was behind me. She said it was amazing to watch that. I'd come to a bowl and I'd go around to the left and end up right on the top, and she'd be like, she's still right on our 304. And then next one I'd go around to the right and then stop on the top, and she'd be like, she's still right on 304. But it's so easy to get turned around out there. What it's like out there. It's like being in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly.
And so we were just really checking. And at that point, the Benzies had gotten stuck a couple times, so they were feeling kind of rattled and like, oh my gosh, we just want to get out of here. And so we stopped on the top of this big dune. I couldn't quite see. We could see the highway, and we could see down into the valley to our left. We couldn't see Osborne Tower. But it was like, well, we've been following our heading. Osborne Tower should just be right over there. But, let's just get down to the valley floor and get out of here, get to the highway. And if anybody wants to come back in and look for 20, they can. But, the Benzies were just, they were kind of done at that point. And so we cut to our left, popped over the next dune, and almost drove right onto our blue flag.
Nice.
And
nice.
the yipping and horn honking and donuts that ensued, it's like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. So then then there was happy crying. I know you don't hear that a lot, like in the Baja 1000 and stuff like that.
No. And most of the crying that Shelly and I see, unless it's back at camp, even most of that is not what I would call happy crying. But Shelly's really good at being like the mom, and giving the hugs and talking everybody off the cliff, that kind of thing. And me, I just sit there and go, okay, this is really uncomfortable for me, because women crying is like my kryptonite. I mean, I am powerless.
But you are, but the fact that you show up year after year and do this, that you have the strength to deal with that. Most men would just run screaming from the building. So kudos to you for enduring that.
It must be part of something crazy in my mind, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoy the Rebelle. I don't want to do anything else at that time of year, and there's plenty of options for me to do. But I'm not so interested in the others. I mean, it's just something about the Rebelle that is completely special.
Yes.
And I don't ever want to miss that opportunity. And as long as Jimmy and Emily will have us, we will keep coming back.
Awesome. Yep.
So
there's nothing like that camaraderie.
No,
you don't get that. Yeah.
What was the most awesome, say, view, or the not after looking at the photos that some of the photographers are taking, because some of those at the time you're not seeing what the photographer is seeing.
Right.
But what was the coolest part of the whole route for you?
Honestly, I think this was my favorite course by far. So far on the rally, and starting with day one, where Emily was like, "You asked for technical driving, you got technical driving," and we got to the first rocky section, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm always like, technical driving, whatever, and we're like, "Oh, she made it happen," and I'm looking at this going, I am really glad I'm in a Wrangler, because there is no Ram truck I could have brought this year that would have fit up this canyon.
Is that the one that went around up by what they were calling the car wash, up and around by the mine and then back down the hill?
Yes. The car wash, that was it.
Yeah, I drove the Raptor through there.
Ooh, do you still have paint on both sides?
Oh, I haven't had all my paint on both sides in a while.
Oh yeah,
since the first Rebelle. 2 weeks after I bought the truck. The truck was the Raptor was absolutely pristine when I bought it. 2 weeks later, we're on the Rebelle, and we hit I think it was at Johnson Valley when we first started getting the scrapes.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right. And then after that, we did the Arizona Peace Trail and then the Apache Trail. And it's, the wheeling that we've done in Texas. And it's like, you know what? It's just a truck.
Yep.
Yep. But there was no, there's some pretty good gouges in it, but the worst one is from my trailer.
Oh no, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Shelley.
we had our own rally going every day. We got GPS, and I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, so I forget to put the hitch pin in the receiver. There's 3 hitch pins on that hitch setup that I have, and I forgot the one I never use. I never take out. I had to take out this time because the one at the truck itself was full of mud in the key from Nebraska on the route out there. I couldn't get the key to work in it, so I took the other one out, which is a bolt lock, and then but I have a couple extras of those. So when I put all the gear together to put it back together, it was that day 0. It was raining, dark, and Mike Shirley was in a hurry to get going so we could get the Enduro set up.
Yes.
So I forgot to put that hitch pin in, and we drove around the parking lot of the casino, got in line, and then drove out to the main road. And then as soon as I turned onto the main road, 100 feet later, we hear this grinding type noise. Shelley looks in the rearview mirror and says, "The trailer's not behind us."
Oh, no.
And I look in my mirror. I can see the trailer, but it's way offset. And for some reason, I stabbed the brakes, and the trailer caught up to the Raptor.
Yep.
And put a little dent and a gouge, the worst gouge of paint in the vehicle. But it's the tailgate, so it's not a big deal. What's behind you doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first thing. And I mean, it was like day 0, 6:15 in the morning, and I'm like, this is going to be a rough one. But it was still fun. It'll always be fun, no matter what happens. The windstorms, whatever, all the stuff.
I know. I was. I thanked Shelley for. The windstorm was just kicking off when we got to the start of that Enduro by Rhyolite, and she's standing out there, in the sand, just oh my gosh, and she had us down out there for hours to start all of us,
Yep.
Like, I had to roll my window down for a minute, and she was standing out there for hours.
She was trying to get her boots on, and a team drove up, and she went back out there. She had one boot and one sandal on.
Oh.
Teams were like, "Do we have extra gloves? Would you like some gloves? Would you, all that kind of, whatever." And she's like, "No, I'm good." And she got her goggles on and her face wrapped all up and everything. It was
right.
And I'm sitting in the warm truck.
Right.
But I told her, I said, "Hey, I'll go out there." She goes, No. She likes talking to everybody. So
yeah, exactly.
So what is next for Nena Barlow?
Well, we immediately started talking about next year. It's like, well, how do we top this? And I think the best thing for me, and it really drove it home, how much more gratifying it was to share day 7 on the course with other teams who are really in hot pursuit, is that, I want to help bring up the next generation of rebels, and how do we do that? And how do we help more women gain these skills and the self-confidence that they get from the Rebelle Rally? And so, we're talking about some different programs that we can put together. Okay. Try to launch, immediately, if not sooner.
Here's one of the things that you should teach everybody: how to pack their Jeep.
Oh yeah,
or their vehicle. Not Jeep specific, but how to pack so it doesn't take an hour and a half to change a tire.
Oh my gosh, right.
Things like that. The items that are necessary while you're in transit or on the course need to be handy.
Right.
Especially on a transit day, when you're, like the marathon day or something like that, where you got to get down the road.
Yep.
And it's just some things that I saw that were, you know, I guess by hopefully, you know, their people's Maxtrax and shovels were more accessible than maybe tired, you know, jacks and jack handles and tools. But, you know, packing, I think
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
I know I pack that way, but you know, that's
Right.
from my days of being a Boy Scout and, you know, putting my backpack together.
Well, an experience on the trail, what you know you're most likely to need, and tire changing equipment should be, right up there, top of the list. And just how to change a tire. I heard teams talking about they had to figure out how to change a tire, and some what could have become serious safety issues with people trying to use high lift jacks incorrectly to change
Correct.
tires and stuff. And it's like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. I'll add that to the list. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. And one of these days we're going to take, both Shelly and I want to do some of the mapping and stuff. I did a lot of that in Scouts.
Uh-huh.
I obtained my Eagle, so there was a lot of things that I trained in. And now that I'm 63 years old, there's a lot of things that I don't remember. The basics of it I do, but I really need to take the navigation courses. And I know Shelly definitely needs the navigation course. Although when I'm driving in the wrong direction and the arrow is not following the lines, she was able to figure that out, because I didn't even look at the GPS, because I'm like, I know where I'm going, and I pulled away from that ranch and went totally the wrong direction twice.
No, you two are welcome anytime. I'll keep you posted. We're trying to set up a course, we'll do some Glamis stuff in January and February, and
Okay.
one of them will be a beginner's class, and one of them will be like an intermediate class, which is what you guys should come out for. And both of them will be 3 days, and it'll be very Rebelle oriented. It'll be very much map and compass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Woven into that. Yeah.
Shelly needs to get more comfortable in the sand dunes too.
Awesome.
She does. She is a much calmer driver than I am, and I'm a little aggro behind the wheel sometimes, and it doesn't matter if it's on pavement or on a trail or really in the sand dunes.
Right.
I remember the year we first brought the Raptor out, and I looked at this. I knew there was a blue on the other side of the hill, and it was like, okay, I got to go get that blue, pick it up. And I see this like ramp, 3 car width wide ramp between two, dune faces. And I'm like, all right, 2 bowls. And I said, I can do that. So I turned toward it, and she realized where I was going. And she told me with no certainly that I was not going to go up that hill with just one word. It was stretched out. To me, it sounded like for about 3 minutes, but it was probably only a few seconds. She said she just said no, but I heard it a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
In my mind. But I didn't do it. I went with her wishes, and we drove all the way around the sand dune to get it. But I need to get her in with somebody else in the sand dunes so that she can know that I'm not crazy. But that that's the way you drive in the dunes. But
Right.
So anyway, what about with the rental company and the adventures? I know that you were getting ready, and I haven't seen anything, but it's probably my fault about Vegas. Are you guys doing things out of Vegas now?
So that's kind of got put on hold with COVID and everything.
Right.
And also, it's very interesting how easy it is to work with like our California, Arizona, and Utah BLMs, and how not easy it is to work with the Nevada BLMs. It's really interesting. So we've started the process for both, actually for Sand Mountain up near Reno, and then also for the Big Dune area east of Vegas there, and but it's much more painstaking. They want things like, they get to get their cut. This is going back to their mafia ties. It's like you have to have a city business license, and it's like, okay, that's great. I don't have a physical location in Nevada. I am applying as a foreign entity, just like in Utah. We're an Arizona business. We have a foreign entity license to do business in the state of Utah, and Nevada's like, oh no, you have to have a physical address. Okay, well, how do people do this then? Well, they pay someone to be the beneficiary, for the business. It's like, okay. And that, so it's like everybody's, they just line people up to get their cut.
Right. And then you said Sand Mountain, and that's the Carson City office.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. I dealt with them when I owned Devora.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I don't own Devora any longer.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was dealing with that office.
Yeah. So we will continue to pursue that, but honestly, we've been so busy with other things. We are a lot of corporate groups and private trainings and stuff for manufacturers and things like that. So we stay pretty busy. It's really important to me to continue to be able to offer classes for the public. And of course Rebels,
Right.
But so we'll always continue to do that. But Moab and Sedona Jeep rentals, I'm lucky enough to have great managers that just kind of run those Jeep rental stores, so I don't have to be involved on a daily basis. That allows me to get out and do the things that I love, the training and the trips.
Excellent. So
yeah.
Before we end this, let's talk about your personal family, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you've got kids? I know
I
you do. Yes.
Yep. So I have two boys, 14 and 24. Obviously, the 14-year-old is still at home, freshman in high school.
Wait a second, 24-year-old? There's no way that you have a 24-year-old.
I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, wow. Okay. Surprise me.
And he's in Fort Collins, Colorado. He wanted to get out of Arizona and try something new, and he moved to Fort Collins a few years ago and doing good there, having fun there.
Excellent.
And it's a great college town, and of course you're only an hour from Denver, so concerts and flights to other places. It's a pretty cool place to live for him. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And your primary residence is in Sedona?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just outside of Sedona. Yeah.
Cool.
And of course I have the husband here. He has his own business. He helps me out from time to time, with our stuff, but he's primarily a graphic designer.
Oh, okay.
And then and of course 2 dogs. So that's like having toddlers, in the house. But
How big are dogs?
100-pound Dogo Argentino and a 70-pound Lab Keeler mix.
Wow.
So big dogs, lots of fur.
Big dogs, lots of fur. That's awesome. So anything else on the radar for the Barlows?
Continuing to look at, so not just how do we bring in the next generation of Rebels, but from the training side, I'm a certified master trainer with the International Four-Wheel Drive Trainers Association, and none of us are getting any younger there, and there's more people than ever. You've seen it. There's more people than ever getting out on the public lands and wanting to try this four-wheel drive thing, and the vehicles coming from the manufacturers these days are more capable than ever off the lot. And, people, they need to have the skill set to match that so they can, be out there responsibly and safely.
Right.
And so it's also bringing up the next generation of not just four-wheel drive trainers for the technical perspective, but just ambassadors for the sport and ambassadors for the outdoors and responsible use of our trails so that we can sustain our access indefinitely.
Excellent. Well, Nena, I want to say thank you so much for coming on board and talking about your personal life and your history with off-road and your your adventures in the Rebelle, and and I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we are friends and more than just acquaintances like we were for years. The Rebelle
Yep.
has made us more friends, and that I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I wish you all the success in the future that you can sustain, and I wish your family, all the great things.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Take care, Rich.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoy these podcasts, please give us a rating. Share some feedback with us via Facebook or Instagram, and share our link among your friends who might be like-minded. Well, that brings this episode to an end. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week with Conversations with Big Rich. Thank you very much.